We'll get to in 1 second. So we're going to start with Lowell, Lloyd's brother, and we'll go from there. And here's the great. Thanks. We have some resemblance.
Yeah, that's what I've been told. That's what I've been told. Hi, everybody. For those of you that don't know, I'm Lloyd's older brother. Which, you know, makes this a little bit tougher because you don't expect to lose a younger sibling, but yet, here we are. But, you know, I feel fortunate to have had Lloyd as a brother for all these years, and also proud to call him my brother and my friend. And I wanted to just say throw a word out to Ann for setting this thing up. You know, Lloyd would not have wanted us to see us all moping around some graveyard somewhere. This is much more his style, so I want to thank you for that, Ann. She's really part of it. Family is very important to Lloyd, and his name is actually a family name. That's Lloyd with one L. We have a great grandmother, I believe, on the Jarman side who came from the Lloyd family, and you know, lots of times his name would be spelled with two L's, and he would always look at that and say, "That's a waste of a perfectly good L." Lloyd and I had a really ideal family growing up. You know, two parents, very supportive, and you know, we were lucky in that way. Both our parents were educators, and my dad was a school principal, and that always caused a little bit of weirdness sometimes because he was a principal in the same town where we lived in Montebello. And I know one thing Lloyd always remembered, this must have been traumatic for him, I don't know, but one time, you know, every now and then the principals would come over and they'd have a party. And, you know, some of those principals could party too. But Lloyd remembers when he was little walking out of his room one afternoon or evening, and his principal was sitting right there in the family room, and that kind of freaked him out. You know, he remembered that like the whole rest of his life. There was my principal. You know. We used to take family vacations, and you know, usually it was 2 weeks at the beach, or a week or two at the beach, a week or two at a lake in the mountains. And one of my, because my uncle had a boat, so we learned to water ski at a very young age. And one of my earliest memories was Lloyd learning to water ski. He could have been learning about 5 or 6. I don't think he could swim yet. And we decided that, you know, once he got up, he wouldn't be able to do this when he was ready to quit. You know, that's the quit sign for you want to quit water skiing. So we decided that he would, when he was ready to quit, he would shake his head, go like this. So, you know, after 2 or 3 tries, he got up. And right after he got up, he started shaking his head. Does he want to quit? You know, is he done? Lloyd, do you want to quit? And he looks up and he goes, does he want to quit? And so then he stopped, and then a few seconds later, he's going like this again. And we're going, do you want to quit? And he goes. And so, you know, I don't remember quite how we resolved that, except he learned how to ski, but we decided that, you know, that wasn't the best sign for whether you want to quit, nodding your head. Most people knew that Lloyd was a motorhead, and I was sort of the water on the brain brother, you know, the surfing and stuff. But Lloyd loved the water too. In fact, when we were kids, he could stay in like in a pool. We didn't live in a pool. He could swim longer than I could, and you know, he loved the water. And another thing, a lot of people don't know about him is he was a good body surfer. He learned to body surf while I was surfing, and one of the things he was the most proud of was the fact that he had body surfed this place in Mexico called San Miguel. And I just have to describe this briefly. San Miguel is a surf spot that, you know, it breaks really hard, it picks up a lot of size, and breaks right into you see those rocks out there? Well, it kind of breaks right into rocks, kind of like that. Big boulders with barnacles on them and sea urchins in between them. So not your user-friendly type of wading into the ocean kind of place. And you know, every time I went there with him, with Lloyd with me, he was out there body surfing that place. I never saw anybody else do it. So, and years later, when we talk about, you know, this and that, he was always proud of the fact that he had body surfed San Miguel, and nobody else that I know of ever did. And I'm not sure I ever even saw any body surfers out there other than him. But Lloyd, he was a motorhead, and it started when he was probably about 9, when my dad bought a Honda 55. And it wasn't much time before Lloyd was riding it in the backyard, figure eights around the yard, and pretty soon it was up and down the driveway. And then pretty soon it was actually out in the street too. And I remember a time or two when he had a run-in with the Montebello Police Department, who didn't like seeing the 10-year-old kid riding a motorcycle on the street. He had that issue that happened to him a couple of times. And I was thinking about going through all the vehicles and all the cool cars, hot cars, and motorcycles that he had, but I'm going to skip that because we don't have time. But he always had a fast car or a motorcycle or both. Our family he loved NASCAR too, but NASCAR. Our family kind of blew up a little bit when my dad died. Lloyd was 11, my dad was 56, he had a heart attack. And so that kind of threw our family for a loop there. But you know, something interesting happened after that. The three of us, my mom and Lloyd and me, we got closer after that. Not that we weren't close in the first place, you know, we had a close family, but we got closer after that, and we all recognized it. And in fact, even years later, when I moved to San Diego and Lloyd and my mom, they got closer at that point in time. And at that time, I kind of realized, you know, Lloyd was a family guy. You know, he really strengthened our family. And you know, there's been examples of that all through his life, I think. One silver lining from my dad's death, though, was that a few years later, my mom remarried a really nice guy named Bob Schneider. And Bob had a son named John, and although their marriage didn't last, Lloyd's relationship with John did last pretty much a lifetime. John was really, Lloyd considered a brother, I know, for pretty much the rest of their lives. And John recently passed away too. Christine was here, but she had to leave, so Christine was John's sister. But they became very close. They had a lot in common, you know, fast cars, motorcycles, music, and CB radios. Lloyd was into the CB radio for a while. And that was when he had his 914 Porsche. So his handle was Red Snipper. I mentioned music. Lloyd was a really good musician, trombone player. He played in the marching band in high school and also an exclusive band in high school, the Esquires. And he also played in college and did a lot of traveling through the band and through music. He went to Hawaii, Mexico City, among other places. And one thing I really remember is John and Lloyd playing dueling banjos on their guitar. They took up guitar later. They were really good at that song. Another thing Lloyd did after he graduated from Brooks, and Brooks is an exclusive photography school. I know you photography folks are very familiar with it. Lloyd and John decided to see the country through the windshield of a diesel truck while hauling produce for the 11 western states anyway. So they purchased a truck that they called Big Red. Poor Red. And my mother wasn't too happy about that, obviously because she just spent all this money on his education, so he comes out of school, what does he do? He drives a truck. But he and John, you know, they had fun doing it, and Poor Red, they called it Poor Red because, well, first of all, it's red. And second of all, it was named after a restaurant that's in Northern California that we used to eat at. It's in the gold country called Poor Reds. If you've ever heard of it, Shane, you happen to be up there. I can't remember the name of the little town, but very good place to eat. And So, and the third reason they call it Port Red is because it broke down a lot. But they stuck it out for a few years there. I can't remember quite how long. Stuck it out with Fort Red. Lloyd was really tall. And that was a big part of who he was, no pun intended. Some of the pictures he used to bring home from elementary school were always amazing to me because you'd see these pictures of him, and how the small kids are in the front, the big kids are in the back, and you see these heads going like this, and here's Lloyd. Something like that. He was always a head taller than everybody else. And his fast growth sometimes caused a problem. One problem it caused for me was when he hit about somewhere in his teenage years, he got bigger than me, so I couldn't pick on him anymore. Nice Lloyd, but he had another problem that I remember it because we were in this restaurant one time, and I think it was when we were with the Schneiders, and there was 8 or 9 of us, and we were in this waiting room, Mexican restaurant in Alhambra. And we were, one of those smoky waiting rooms back in the 70s, I think. We had our girlfriends with us, something going on, I can't remember what. But anyway, they called us to the table, and we were kind of snaking our way through this crowd at the table, kind of in single file. Lloyd and I were last. And I'm walking through, and all of a sudden I hear this thump back there. And I look back, and there's Lloyd just flat on the ground, just faded, lost consciousness, in the middle of this waiting room place. Oh my gosh! So I go back there, and I'm trying to wake him up, and here comes this Vader B guy, just right away on my case, just saying, "Get him, get him, get him!" Thinking he was like drunk or something, And I had to turn around and just get in this guy's face and say, "Look, it's not that. Give me some space here." And so after a few minutes, I was able to get him up, and we made it back to the table, and all our friends at the table, "Where are you guys goofing off? What's going on?" So I had to explain to them what happened. That was something that Lloyd experienced, I'm gonna say a few times in his teenage years when he was growing really fast. And the only explanation we ever got was that, well, he's just growing real fast, and that's what happens. So I don't know if that's a common thing or not. But I never seemed like a weird explanation for that to be something that he apparently outgrew that. I want to mention one other job Lloyd had in his life when he was younger. He went to work for this gas station in East LA. I think it was on Olympic down somewhere, I'm not sure. But anyway, this guy that owned this gas station was a complete crook. And this was back in the day when if you had a full service station, they'd check under the hood for you, right? So what this guy would do was he'd go check under somebody's hood, and he would drop a penny into the battery. And back then they didn't have the sealed batteries they have now. He would drop a penny into the battery, which shorts out the battery. And so when the guy actually go back to start the car, of course the car wouldn't start. This guy said, "Well, we have batteries here, and I'll put one in for you." And of course, what are they going to do? They're stuck there. So and then of course he'd take the other battery, take the penny out, sell the used battery to somebody else. That was kind of like a regular thing that this guy did. At this gas station. It was one of the first jobs I think that Lloyd ever had. Now, and I know most of you know that then Lloyd went and had a successful career in photography, 60-minute photo and Naritsu, and then later, really enjoyed his job at Meals on Wheels in the Midway. But if he was here right now, I would say, "Well, Lloyd, I'm your older brother. I'm not going to talk about the cool stuff you did. I'm going to talk about the silly, goofy stuff that you did." So, and I know he would appreciate that, with his Fort Red job and with his, gas station job. But, I got to say again how fortunate I was to have a brother like Lloyd. I just want to share one more memory. when I was, I'm going to say 11 or 12, I was talking to my mom about everlasting life. I believe I was studying the Bible a little bit at that time, and that phrase about everlasting life came up, and I'll never forget what she told me. She said, everlasting life is achieved because of the relationships you have and the good vibes and the good experiences that you share and good thoughts that you share with the people you deal with and your children, and they share those things with their children and the people that they need. And that was my mother's. Now, my mother was a good Christian all her life, but that was her definition to me of everlasting life. And I just, as I think about that right now, I just think that really applies to Lloyd. He was so positive. I mean, I don't think I ever saw him do anything cruel or mean or, I don't even think I ever saw him lose his temper. I mean, in all the years I knew him. So, there was just so much positive about Lloyd that, clearly with all of you here, you probably would all agree with me. So when I think about Lloyd being John, that's one thing I think about is my mom's definition of everlasting life is really applying to Lloyd in that way. So I just want to finish with that, and I will now introduce my daughter and Lloyd's niece, Laura Farrar, and she's going to talk a little bit, or she's going to speak about, or she has Anne's statement that she's going to. Thank you very much.